Welcome back, guys, and happy 2018. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas. What did Santa bring you? What did you get? I got fat. Actually, we should probably zoom in onto my face and avoid showing the rest of the... This is a 2 weeks beard. I'm slowly turning into Chewbacca. Let's go back to the normal. My name is Fabio Palvelli. I'm here with the D2 Talks to bring you, yet again, a beautiful conversation, kind of informal chat with a guy that I've actually met on the internet. I was introduced by my friend Sava to the work of Spiridon Giannakis. He is the man behind the Firestarter community magazine, which is this one. Now, when I've interviewed Spiridon last year, I didn't really have a copy of the magazine, and I wish I did have a copy before doing the interview, because then I would have asked him a lot of more questions regarding the magazine itself. Because, to be honest with you, since 5-6 years that I work in this industry, I have never really come across to such beautiful laid out content, so many interviews with artists and reports about lectures from some of the biggest events in the industry. Now, since the D2 conference is kind of expanding and we're including more topics other than architectural visualization, I guess it is important for us to include people that have different profiles and kind of tell their stories. So Spiridon is a graphic designer that has been writing this magazine about the best events in CG in the world. The content and the layout is just amazing, and I would warmly recommend you to grab a copy today, because I think that there is a lot of knowledge inside this magazine that you guys can only benefit from. Enough of me blah 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 blah. Enjoy the interview. How's it going, man?
Pretty fine, actually. I had an exciting day. Was talking with a few guys from Wacom, and was talking the strategy for the next magazine. It was pretty cool.
Just FYI, I'm already recording now because I want this to be as natural as possible.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I don't mind.
Dude, okay, so basically I've had this idea to interview you because, you know, as you've probably already seen from my post, I love people that hustle, you know? And the fact what you're doing, I should probably make an introduction about you, but the truth is, this is the very first time that we're talking face to face. We just got in touch because of Sava. Sava put me in touch with you. He said, this guy is doing something really, really cool. You probably want to involve him and see if you can give him some information about the D2 conference, which is the event that I co-founded together with Jason and Christian. Yeah. And then I started to look through your magazine, and I was blown away because you're the editor, I guess founder as well.
I'm the everything of this at this point.
Of Firestarter Magazine.
Exactly, yeah.
How old is this project?
Well, pretty much the first episode, I mean the first issue of it, we brought out for the IFCC this year, so it's June.
And how many times do you release a publication every month, every 2 months?
No, the plan is to do it twice a year, because if you take a look at the way that the events are organized, you can pretty much see that we have 2 seasons starting March with IOMAG. At this point, there might be some earlier ones, but still adding events at this point.
Because you really focus only on the events, right?
So far, it is the magazine itself mostly focuses on the events and the people who speak at these events. Yes. So we started March to June or July maybe, and then we have July there's nothing, and then we have August to November.
Okay.
So for these 2 seasons, we have one magazine early in the year, and in autumn there comes the second one.
Okay, because I've looked through it and I was like, how do you manage to put together all this information? And I was like, is this guy doing it monthly? I was like, this is even worse than making a movie or something.
No, it's because if you consider that the events themselves happen only once a year. It wouldn't make sense to make it more frequent.
Yeah.
For in-between information, I still have the website, and you can still find information on this place. Yeah.
Okay, because even the content, I mean, I am pretty sure that the type of content that you put could possibly be put more often, or you could interview more artists and talk about their work. But
Yeah,
of
sure.
course, this is I believe it must be a lot of work.
It's not even that, but it's also in terms. I mean, the feedback that I got this far from the magazines that I did was mostly that the quality of it is very high, and it's not like a lot of advertising in it, and it has a value. And as soon as I start bringing this out more, it kind of waters down. The information is not as important.
Let me understand something. I mean, this is one thing that you do. This Firestarter magazine.
Yes.
You are a freelancer, or an artist.
I am a freelancer and I'm not an artist. I did some. I got into this community through a hobby and trying to make illustration my job. But it's this. Do you know this meme where there are two dwarfs that are digging and the one guy is almost so close to dig through a cave where there's a huge demon and the other guy just goes back? I was at this position. I was like, well, I could go on and just waste time and keep on doing the shit half-hearted, or I could combine what I can do with what I like to do. And so I decided to do graphic design for guys that do art, and started with art books.
Okay.
And from the art books, I got to the events and had this idea of doing a magazine for the events. Yeah.
No, this is beautiful, because very often the what you hear people saying is there is no job, there is no work, nothing much we can do. That's it. We call it the day. But I like when people actually backward engineer the problem and solve the problem. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I totally get it. At some point, it's just like some people create their own problems, so you can also maybe create your own solutions. Just have an idea, be innovative. At this point, you see a lot of, for example, marketplaces popping up for tutorials or for education in general. And even though there are plenty of them, every one of them is kind of different. And I like to see that this happens, because people are like, I got to take the initiative and change something from my point where I am right now and do something. Even if it's already there, maybe I can do it better than the other person, right?
yeah, of course. I mean, this is what creates progress in a way, because if people never question this and never try to push themselves.
Yeah. So if you take it from my perspective with the magazine, there are magazines already, of course. Everybody knows Imagine FX, etc. But I do a different magazine. So it's still a magazine for the same kind of people, but it's not the same content. I don't do tutorials, for example. I do experience. Yeah. So people can read the lectures that were made from the speakers, or have some interviews and gain some knowledge, and maybe do their own problem solving. Maybe they read something, a quote that will bring them to something totally different, just like a tutorial would bring them to a different place if it was about, like creating an illustration.
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% with you on this, I think that sometimes the more somebody studies and becomes specialized in their own field, the more they build a cage around themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, one thing that we do at the D2 conference, this interview is not about me, but we're going to go back about you in a second. What we try to do with the D2 conference is to expose artists that do architectural visualization to other things, because very often, different professions blur their boundaries with other professions, and the skills needed to make it into other fields are so little that you can easily relaunch yourself with a new career, or maybe find even more ways to monetize whatever it is that you're doing, just by getting the inspiration out of it,
Exactly.
And I think that, for instance, what you do in terms of like the activity with the magazine and the way you pose yourself in social media really is showing this, you know, and I really like that. When I made that post, when I said I love when people hustle, I meant it, you know. I think that art, this is important in art, you know. I remember last winter we were on the borders with Mexico and the US, and whilst you wait in line you see these Mexican guys that they run like 500 meters to a bar, they go get your Coke, bring it back for money, you know. And this is hustle, you know what I mean? Like if it's not the Coke that you want, but it's a sandwich, they'll go to the place, they'll find the sandwich, and they'll bring it back to you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I think that a lot of this is missing in especially in young professionals.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't. I'm not sure how to evaluate the motivation of people who just started out, maybe, but eventually they will figure out that something that Max Berman told me, which I'm pretty much made my favorite quote right now, is that if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Of course.
And yeah, if you keep doing something and maybe don't, I didn't have like success instantly with the project, and I think I still have a long way to go, but I'm quite happy how everything turned out in these few months. So it's not about likes on social media or whatever, but the companies that are involved with me right now. I mean, Access Studios from Glasgow are also sponsoring the magazine, and
oh, that's cool.
Yes, it absolutely is, and game studios get involved, and other software producers are also talking with me how they can get involved, and people are actually starting to notify me that they are interested. I'm not running behind them anymore.
Okay.
So that kind of presenting yourself in social media and be known, and some say it's like literally like prostituting yourself maybe and putting yourself out too much, and it's about fame or whatever. But what it actually does is it's making my job much easier, and as soon as my job gets more easy, I can help more people.
Yeah.
So it kind of enables me in a way, right? So what did you call hustling? I would rather call it's you enable yourself to do something, yeah. And even if it's hard, keep doing it. I mean, at some point, something's got to happen, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. It's something that we say also. I come from the south of Italy, and we always say that if you build and then destroy and then build and destroy and build again, something is gonna happen at one point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's that's pure logic.
You're Greek, right?
I am, yeah.
But you now live in Germany.
I'm born and raised in Germany, actually.
Okay. So okay.
But I always had like the Greek citizenship, and my parents sent me also additionally to Greek school so I can write and talk in Greek and whatever. So it's a very mixed culture thing in my case. So I'm very much German as much as I am Greek.
Okay, but your English is spotless. No,
Thank you very much.
No German accent whatsoever.
Thanks to Iron Maiden. I started listening to metal very early because of my brother, and I was always like, what the fuck are they talking about and singing? And he started explaining, and I joined school, and I could already talk with the teachers. So
okay.
English was always like an interest of mine. So it was very easy for me to get this magazine started because I could speak actually good English and have some decent network talking with people. So,
but let me ask you, how old are you?
I am 34.
34. Okay, yeah, because you do you sound and you act very young, but you know,
I do.
Yeah, of course. But you know, I'm older than you, believe it or not. But
I didn't see that.
But you know, in a way, seeing young people doing this kind of stuff, because you know, I consider you young. It is motivating, and I really hope that those who are going to watch this video, they're going to take something out of it, because eventually I think that maybe we'll go back to this a little bit later, but just
Sure.
Tell me first one thing. What did you do, like study-wise? Did you kind of take a path in this direction before doing this?
It's quite easy, and it's quite sad actually when I wrap it up in a way. But there's of course, I think, a different school system in Germany um, than in other countries, but I didn't go to university. I
Okay.
haven't studied like that. I started in a sort of business school first, which I made 2 years, and then I realized, because I had like the best notes in all the subjects except for mathematics and economy, which were basically the reason why I should have been there to learn these two things. I decided to ditch this and switch to graphic design.
Okay.
And the kind of education that I got is it's like a regular job training, like you do it in a company, but it's in a school.
Okay.
So after that you end up to go in something called Fachhochschule, which is
Yeah,
basically
yeah. Okay.
something like a university, but not really the university. And I didn't do that. I sticked directly to the job. I started in an agency, and from there, very quickly, I changed to a publisher, and I was working for 8 years. And then my son was born, and I realized that I don't really see him at all, because I woke up together with him, and then I came home and had to bring him to bed, and this was kind of frustrating. So I quit and started doing freelancing, and it was the best thing I ever did, because I saw him every day and I could work late but live during the day, like a vampire, maybe, I don't know. But it worked very much, because it's a different kind of motivation if you work as a freelancer, of course. And I would tell everybody who's starting out to do first a studio job or work in a company first, to get the right work ethics together, and then go freelancing.
To get
But
the thick skin first.
yes, for me it was exactly the right thing to do it that way. And then at some point I realized that it might be a good idea to not do only freelancing, but start something like your own IP. And that was the magazine.
Dude,
Yeah.
this is really like impressive, and I really hope that it can motivate others to also think about doing their own projects. At the moment, I'm following I think it's an ex-illustrator from Disney, and he has started this YouTube channel where he shares insights of doing his own job, as
What's
well
his
as
name?
I have to look it up on YouTube. Let me take a look.
Because I always watch that stuff, so
Now
just
this guy is actually really really good, and I think his name is, let me see into my subscriptions, Brendan Dayton. Anyway, I put it here on my screen because I'm recording my screen so people will see it. Um, but he's a very cool guy, and he explains a lot about the reason why he went freelance and the reason why he even stopped doing freelance to focus on his own project. And I think that actually now, with the fact that we can reach so many people thanks to the internet, and our connection, it's kind of an example of what I'm talking about. We have
yeah.
kind of created even if it's a very small relationship where I buy your magazine, is still something that, maybe 10 years or 15 years ago would have never happened, because I would have had to send you a letter or, I would have had to come to Germany to kind of see you and
Go the
purchase
next
the.
step. No, go the next step. You actually work on it with me. You provide your content and present your event in it. So that was kind of fucking hard to manage maybe 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
of course. Of course.
So yeah,
Impossible.
it's nice.
Impossible. No, this is as I said, it's the reason why I always bring this concern is because, being a university teacher, very often I see, people expectations coming out of university being totally different from what the reality is. And actually, we need, I think, more role models of people that understand that getting into creative jobs, creative careers, has a lot to do with being creative in terms of creating business, being entrepreneurs and understanding how to present yourself to potential clients, or how to create potential relationships with people that could give you a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And listen, I'm going to ask you because we're always trying to improve our own event. You've never been to the D2 conference. I really hope that we can make it happen, that you come and visit us. But so
Yeah, man.
far, we'll try. We'll try. So
Thanks.
so far, which one is your favorite event? The one that you have liked the most?
It's a funny thing that people ask me that constantly because I've only been like to 3, which is very ironic if you consider that I'm doing a magazine about events.
Eh,
I know events so far from my own jobs, but something like the festivals that we have in this part of the creative industry is something that I haven't like really had. And the first one was of course the IFCC. Then I went to THU, and before that I was at the meetups of THU in Berlin. And then I went to playgrounds in the Netherlands. And there is no simple answer to your question because, and this is something that the other organizers will tell you too, each one of them is special in their own way.
yeah.
You might better start out with something like the IFCC because it's more casual, for example. Yeah, and if you want to have it like highly professional, whatever, you go to THU, or maybe it is another event that I haven't been so far. The one that I must say blew me away the most at this point because of its simplicity and the value of organization. And this is like nothing in regard of criticizing the others that they did a lesser job, but it's also like the cost effectivity thing and whatever. It was playgrounds, and it was a few days for not much money, and the people that were organizers, you never saw them running around or whatever, and they were always very relaxed, and the value of the lectures was very high, and they were real professionals, and you never really had to leave the spot because they had everything there with drinks and food and whatever, and they had this huge hall, and there were 1,400 people as far as I remember, and they had one huge hall with so many seats and 5 screens and this huge stage and whatever. Yeah, so um, and if you consider what THU did with all these great speakers, and then you have Karl Kopinski and Kim Young-ji in one room, and doing their thing, every the stuff that people like the most, seeing them work, and they answer the questions, and you also have this vibe, and the sun is there, and the sea is there, and everybody's in a good mood, and then you have IFCC, and everybody's fucking drunk, and and then it's unorganized but has its own charm because of that fact, and it's frigging hot, and then you see, for me, like a legend like the Black Frog sitting there and improvising this great talk, and so many others like Johnson Ting telling you of their life and how good we had it with all our privilege and everything. Every one of them had their impact, of course. So asking me like which one is your favorite is like, what is your favorite food? Because it always depends on what you want to have, right, in this moment.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
fuck that question,
that
man.
question resonates with me,
There was this one thing when I was a kid. We always used to travel in summer to Greece.
Yeah.
And whenever I got to Greece, people asked me, where do you like it more, in Greece or in Germany?
Ah, yeah.
And I was like, of course, in Greece. And then we got back to Germany from there, and they were like, oh, you were in Greece, right? Yeah, yeah. So where do you like it more? Of course, in Germany. What the fuck am I supposed to answer?
No, I can. This resonates with me a lot. But
Yeah.
even more about the food, Sometimes when my wife and I go out eating, she goes like, "Oh, so what do you want to eat?" And I'm like, "We're passing by the Greek restaurant." And I'm like, "Greek," and she goes like, "Or do you want pizza over there?" Okay, I'll have pizza.
Yeah.
Like,
Never go
oh
shopping when you're hungry,
yeah,
man.
all the food is my favorite food.
What I can say in general is, if you don't go to an event, it's your own fault. Any event
I
will
know.
give you something at some point because you connect with people who do the same thing that you do. And you will never get as much from a hangout or a chat
Yeah.
or whatever. And I figured that out with the first event I went. I went to IFCC and I was hooked, right? I made this. I mean, the funny thing is that I made this magazine without even knowing how these events are, besides having gone to the meetups in Berlin of THU. So the real events, I haven't even been there, but I was able to gather the information with the help of the organizers and put it out there for the others. And with that, I was learning at the same process. Yeah. So go to events. Save some money. Don't put everything just in tutorials. Go there. You will never have as much business opportunities and networking and friendships, which are sometimes even, like, I would say they are even more important, like real friendships with people who do the same thing that you do, if you don't already have them and maybe come from Berlin or LA or whatever it is, and you don't live like in the fucking answer of the word, you know.
Dude, just to clarify, I have never asked you to endorse people going to events, right? Because the big elephant in the room is that I'm an event organizer, and people will be like,
no. People shouldn't think that. I'm telling that everybody that I'm talking.
I'm 100% with you, because I'll tell you the truth. When we first created the first D2 conference, which back then was called something else, we said, I had a full-time job. The other guy also had an office running. I said, we're just gonna make a few $100, a few thousand euros, maybe, hopefully, if everything works out. And it's something that we can do just like this, so that people come, they enjoy themselves, and that's it. Then it turned out that the amount of work that we put into making the event and the money that we got out of it was so bad that we were like, okay, this is never happening ever again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because of that event, so many things started to happen. Like if it was a chain reaction,
Yes.
And I got my first collaboration with V-Ray. I got so many things happening just because I was in charge of that event. Then, of course, with the other editions, other people came on board. And actually, even those people got a lot of other opportunities out of this event. So in a way, when people tell me nothing is happening and I don't think I'm in the right country, or I don't think I'm like, dude, just go to an event, go to a meetup. You don't have to go to the ones that you have to pay for. Go to the ones where you go and drink a beer with people, and you'll see.
Go to a drink and draw. There are so many of them.
No, I know. I'm 100% with you, and I'm so glad that you said it, because every time that I say that to somebody, it always looks like I'm trying to sell them a ticket.
No, it's really not about that, and I'm also not like trying to sell my magazine because it's free.
Yeah.
So it's not about that. It's people. Whoever is seeing this and hasn't gone to an event, make the move, go to one, make the experience, and then you can still say it sucks or I don't want to go, but at least do it. And you will see what everybody is talking about. It's not a hype or whatever. It's just community. You will experience it.
Maybe one more thing would be go there actively. Like don't expect that things will happen to you just by sitting and watching the talks.
At least not as much. It's like don't expect that everything will happen just because you sit there and sketch, and you see always these guys, right? In every event, they have their sketchbook, they sit in the corner, and then they're drawing. It's not like Kim Young-ji will come to you and be like, hey, are you sketching alone? Let's be friends. Nothing. This will never happen. Ever.
Yeah, I know.
Go if you want to talk with someone, don't be awkward about it. If you want to have someone look at your portfolio, get him a beer. Go there and be like, can I buy you a drink and can I have 5 minutes of your time? Don't be awkward about it. But the best things might happen to that. You might have like a real good job from it. You never know.
No, you never know, really. And eventually it's not even on like you don't even have to think about the short run, so you don't even have to be nervous of saying I have to be good now, and I have to talk to that person, and I have to impress that person. You can establish a first contact, and then you can take it easy, and over time you can go back to the contact and show your work, how you are evolving, and people are actually genuinely interested in having this kind of relationships, because let's face it, we stand in front of a computer 10, 15 hours a day. Our faces glow in the dark because of all the radiations that we get from the screens. Having human contact with other people is just pleasant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's of course it's a cliche that sadly comes from somewhere. Yeah, and I'm surely not the only one who's like I like sitting alone or whatever. But at some point, stuff just builds up, and you need to talk about several topics about people who actually know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like you can talk about your job with someone who is just like my best friend, for example, who's a programmer, and he's very interested in what I'm doing, and he always likes my stories or whatever. But it's more like a monologue. At some point, you got to find someone who's like, yeah, but why didn't you try this?
Yeah.
Or do you know this situation? Have you been in that? Do you have a solution for that? Whatever. Or do you know this person? Do you know this brush? Can I download your brush? Something like that, right? It would be so different if you haven't experienced it before. If you, like I said, if you are not in some kind of network node city where all the creatives come together and you always have your drink and draws, or you go like to the conservatory, and where is it in Seattle? I'm not sure. Then in that case, of course, you know what this is.
Yeah.
But not everybody is as fortunate with that. Yeah. So go to events. Just keeping saying that.
Dude, listen, we are already above the 30 minutes mark. I'm trying to find the right format for this kind of videos, even because, you know, I still don't have the stats of how long people actually sit in front of these videos and watch them. But I guess that this is a very first run for even for us to get to know each other. And once again, you know, to extend you the invitation to come and see us in Vienna. On my side, I will try to do the best I can to invite you and to make you be part of this experience.
I'd like to. Yeah.
I just want to thank you so much for taking the time for doing this, and yeah, we'll catch up maybe online.
Of course.
If
Anytime.
if people want to find you, where can they find you?
You want my address or what? You can.
Yes. You send me your Google Maps coordinate. No.
I just checked it like 2 days ago. It was very funny. If you type my first name or my second name, if you type Spiridon, if you type Giannakis, I'm pretty much one of the first things you will see.
Really?
So my SEO is excellent. You will find me.
Oh, okay. No, but like, do you prefer people to get in touch via Facebook, Instagram?
I'm a very much a Facebook person.
Okay. All right. Then I'll put a link to that in the video.
Yeah, sure.
Good. Dude, thanks a lot. I'm gonna stop the recording and then I'm gonna say goodbye myself. So I'll just say goodbye to the people watching this. Stay online. Don't go. Thanks a lot for doing this. We'll talk in a second.